One flows are what hand styles done in the bus flow style are called. And my main goal every day that I woke up as an active tagger in the late 90s was to go out into those streets of San Francisco and bust some one flows. But despite the love that I have and a lot of us from the city have for this style, it's little understood and even less appreciated outside the city. And in this video, I plan on breaking down our style and using the example of a perfect one flow that I saw. This one flow was done by the writer Walker from the crews KCM, JC, and HTS. Walker also became incredibly well known in the city as Ribity, and he reached the highest level of recognition a writer could reach when he was active. Unfortunately, Walker is no longer with us and he passed away a couple years ago. But before he was gone, he left us with a lot of work, including this perfect one flow that I'm gonna break down for you guys. So let's get to it. And in this video, this is the tag that I'm gonna use as my example for a perfect one flow. And the first element that makes this a perfect one flow is that it's an otherwise very competent piece of graffiti. And at the end of the day, bus flow might be very particular. The people that do bus flow are very particular, but everything that makes bus flow what it is still has to follow the rules of basic graff. And when you see this Walker tag, the first thing that sticks out to me is that all the letters are very proportionate. Where letters should be bigger like that K or that R, they are. And where letters should be smaller like the A or the E, they are as well. There's also not a lot of negative space, despite there being a letter like an L that produces a lot of negative space. And the fact that everything lines up at the top and lines up at the bottom is what's required. And Walker was able to do this while avoiding side busting whoever was from FN above him. Things get a little bit more interesting when we start inspecting the more bus flowy elements of this one flow. And the main element of this that makes it bus flow is that it very much looks like bus flow. At the end of the day, bus flow has a very particular appearance, and sometimes some of these stylistic elements aren't the easiest thing to explain. But this looks like bus flow, and this channels the energy of what we carried around and what we put on those buses and walls. And in describing bus flow and graffiti as a whole, I'm going to use some musical analogies for a moment. When you see just a basic hand style, that's like a basic backbeat that forms the foundation of a hip-hop instrumental. And in like 1984, you could turn on the radio and you could hear Planet Rock. You could hear Egypt, Egypt by Egyptian Lover. And if you were to visualize a burner, a very complex piece with all the arrows, all the elements weaving in and out of each other, you could hear those songs and hear the same. And when it comes to bus flow, it's almost like punk rock, where we have all these things that we're carrying around, and it's almost more important to get them out than what it looks like or sounds like. But possibly the best musical metaphor that you could use for bus flow is hyphy. Hyphy had all that as well. It had all that anger, it had all that tension, all that anxiety, but on top of it, the people that were hyphy were also really fly. They really cared about how they dressed while going dumb, and that's bus flow. And those of us that came up doing bus flow, we're not art school students. We're fools from the streets. And bus flow has a lot of anxiety behind it. It has a lot of anger behind it. And just seeing that stamp on a wall of, you, I'm here, I exist, and I'm bombing, you see that in this tag. And if there's one part of this tag that really screams bus flow to me, it's that R. And it's that exaggerated hoop in that R that makes it what it is. This element of bus flow is going to be damn near impossible for a lot of you guys out there that are not from San Francisco to really master. And this one flow right here has that vibe and has that energy, but it also has a ton of connecting points, which is something you also need to pull off a perfect one flow. If you want some good examples of what I'm talking about for connecting points, you can look at how that E transitions into the R. It goes straight from letter to letter, and while Ribity could have put something down, he could have put down an extra line to delineate the two, the fact that he didn't makes it doper. And a really dope artist, somebody that really has these one flows down, can hide those transitions inside of itself, and it really just looks like it's all one squiggle. But if there is one transition in this whole hand style that I would tell you guys to pay attention to because it's absolutely perfect, it's how that A transitions into the L. A lot of us out there, myself included, when we're doing our transitions, we transition at the top of letters. And what I mean by that is, when we complete one letter, when we're moving on to the next one, our transition points are at the tops of our letters. But Walker, being as talented as he was, is able to both use transitions at the top of letters, and like this A, he's able to transition at the bottom of letters too. That's really not easy to do, and just transitioning your letters from the bottom isn't the simplest thing either. A lot of us, when we transition our A's in bus flow, we go straight upward, myself included, but damn near none of us goes downward. But that downward transition makes so much more sense, and until you see somebody pull one of these off, where they're utilizing something that's a little bit different, but it's better, you don't even realize it. And on top of it, when he has these transitions, he's fading the transitions as well. Walker hit this up using a fat cap of some variety. And having consistent flares of consistent variety, consistent size, all the way across the tag is the extra element that makes this great. And while those flares are the extra element that makes this a perfect one flow, the underlying element is that it looks like it was done in one line. One flows are called one flows for a reason, but to be honest with you guys, a lot of us don't do our tags in one flow. And that's not some unacceptable thing. Nobody's gonna tell us that our one flows are invalid. It's just a reality thing. But the fact that Walker did this in one flow is what's required for it to be perfect. And to be honest with you guys, this is only about maybe 50 or 60% of what I find perfect about this tag. And I could probably talk for another couple of minutes on just the K, just everything that's going on, everything that's chaotic, but balanced and perfect just in that one letter. And if you're looking to have a tag that looks like this, you're gonna have an uphill climb, even if you're living in San Francisco. But if you're living outside of San Francisco, pulling something like this off is gonna be damn near impossible, on top of it being damn near impossible anyway. I don't wanna act like you guys aren't capable of what you're capable of, and if you didn't devote yourself, you couldn't pull something like this off. But you guys aren't surrounded by one flows all day like a lot of us from the city were or still are. And in my time, I could walk down Mission Street. I could just hit up certain bus stops like 24th and Mission, Cortland and Mission where I lived, or even somewhere that was kind of far away like Haight and Divisadero, and see one flow galleries, see the whole bus stop bombed, see every street around there bombed, see so many different writers, see so many different styles, see so many different types of applications of just this style, that I could see anything I was doing wrong and see somebody doing it right just walking down the street. And while there's no good substitute for this anywhere, there is a consolation. And there's one name that pops up a lot when I post stuff on here. And I'm always giving credit to a dude for pictures whose name is Reppinda415RIP AJ on Flickr. But if you go to that Flickr page, which I have linked in the comments, you're gonna find a database of over 80,000 pictures of graff. The homeboy that runs this page, shout out to him, doesn't live in the city any longer, so you see more so stuff from outside the city, especially a lot of trains in the last couple of years. But of that 80, almost 90,000 pictures, probably maybe 50, 60, or 70,000 pictures are just from the city. And a lot of those are one flows. This fool even just has one folder that's all Muni pictures, that's all just bus graff, and there's 900 examples just there. So for any of you guys that really want to know more about this style, pick up more about this style and incorporate it, that's your best resource. And you can look up people that aren't here anymore and rest in peace to Orphan, to Iron, to Walker, people that had amazing one flows, and you can see multiple examples. But you can also just as easily see incredibly dope writers, people that have really dope hand styles, like Sober, like Mellow especially, and you can see all the little variations, all the varieties. And while it's not gonna be the exact same thing that I live just walking down the street, it's something. In 2 months, I'll be coming up on the 30th anniversary of me hitting up for the first time and learning how to do one flows after. And from 30 years later from when I got my introduction, to see people still out there hitting them up on a regular basis and being dope with them is something that's hard for me to even quantify as far as how happy it makes me. And not only is it that people are still hitting them up, but they're still embracing them as their sole way of doing graffiti. They're dope with those one flows. They love those one flows and they love bombing. And that's what they're gonna do. My heart is always gonna be with them.